It's a rainy Sunday here, Super Bowl Sunday in Virginia, where I live. And I just want to talk about some weird things that happened to me in the last couple days. And the first thing was um, about 4 days ago, I got a concussion and was not able to go out of town this weekend. I'd planned to go out of town, do a ski competition, and had all big plans. Great competition that I was going to miss. Felt really bad about that, but I just didn't feel up for it. So ended up staying home, and yesterday, Saturday, I spent the day cleaning my little home office, which it came out great, and I feel great about that. But when I was going through some old books, a brochure popped out for the Casey Jones Museum. And if you don't know your history, Casey Jones was a train engineer from back turn of the century, of the last century, 1900, who was involved in a horrific train crash. And I looked at the brochure and I thought, yeah, that's interesting. I don't know much about him. So I Googled it and I started reading. Again, this was yesterday morning. And I read all about him in the train crash where he he was late. It was the middle of the night. He was coming around a corner and there was a freight train stopped right in front of him. And it was on a side pass. And part of the freight train was sticking out on the track where he was going. And he was pulling a passenger train. And the story goes that right before he hit, he saw that he was about to collide. He pulled his whistle and he told his brakeman, his fireman who helps him in the train engine, to jump. Save yourself, jump. And he did, and he saved himself. When Casey Jones went careening into this other train and was killed instantly. But he held the whistle down, was warning everybody on the other train, look out, here I come. And this is a horrific accident, and it was pretty historical. So went out to lunch, was talking to my wife, and I was telling her, hey, did you know about Casey Jones? And it was really interesting, and I told her all about it. Well, then last night, there was a horrific train accident in South Carolina, and had some similarities, but the engineer of the train was killed, and the passenger train hit a freight train in the middle of the night. And I was like, wow, that's too weird. Then at a lesser degree, this afternoon I was working in my office and I was looking on the internet, and sometimes things pop up. And one of the pop-ups was Natalie Wood, who was a famous actress in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. And so I started reading about her. And I've always liked her, and liked her in one of the movies, West Side Story, which is one of my favorites. But I had the radio playing too, to like Broadway type music. And all of a sudden, I was reading the article and I was scrolling through her pictures, and all of a sudden, one of the most famous songs that she sang came on. She wasn't singing it, but it was one of the themes from West Side Story. And I thought, wow, that's too much. It's not a coincidence. It's somehow it's messages out there. So, we get these messages all the time. We don't know what they mean. But I'm a firm believer in, staying in tune with your surroundings, with your environment, because there's messages out there. And sometimes they warn you, and sometimes they just remind you of how lucky you are. And that's it. It's just, I'm sure everyone's got their own stories. I've got stories from my past, but these are just two stories that happened recently. And just thought I'd share them. Pretty strange. And I feel really bad about the families and victims of the train accident in South Carolina, and wish them all the best. And also, whatever happened to Natalie Wood, it was still an unsolved mystery how she died. But that's all. Just wanted to share that on a gloomy, kind of cozy Sunday afternoon. That's all for today, and talk to you soon.